What's up? Today in the fourth part we are going to look at decals and what those are and how they work. As you can see here we have a decal options and you can't really do anything, it doesn't happen anything if you click, nor do you have any arrows you can drag and drop. So we will see what we can do about this. So decals is pretty much an image that you place on the ground, a texture that you will drag along the track or around the track so it looks better. So to do this we are going to go outside the game like this with the blank tracks, this RAR file. There was a folder called decal. We can copy a grass decal and something that looks like dirt. So this looks like dirt and this looks like grass. So let's go into the track folder, and either you can copy this whole folder, but it's really unnecessary because it's like 70 megabytes that you probably won't use. You won't use all of these. So let's copy these two, copy, and create a new folder called decal. Go into this one, paste those two, and I'm going to name this one grass.png. I'm going to name this one dirt.png. This will make me keep track of the decals really simple, so that's the name I chose. So now we want to go to this decals file, edit with Notepad++, and we get this one up. So first off we're going to need some squared brackets. And also we want to have a blank line at the end. So here it will be the position and position. So I will place it 1000. And if you want, you can use 6 zeros at the end. And I'm going to place it 1000 the other axis. Whoops. Like this. After this, we want to have the rotation, which could be 0, because we can edit this later. We want to have how big it should be in game, so I'd say 30 pixels is pretty good. We want to have 1 in the aspect ratio. Now we're supposed to reference to the decal, so you can do this by at blank track 2049 /decal, because that was the name of the folder, and then we have grass.png, as well as we will have, I'll copy this one, we will have dirt.png. I'm just going to change these so it won't end up in the same place. Save. If you're not sure if you wrote in the correct folder path, you could just do this blank track, copy this blank track 2049 /decal. But since it was a backslash, we will have to change that. So we will just add this to a / like this. So let's see here if it's working. Can add 6 zeros to this one as well if we want to. So let's open this up in game and see. So let's move into the editor mode here. So as you can see, there's something here and there's something here. Let's zoom in a little. We can see it's the decals that we added, it's the grass, and it is the dirt. So let's go to the decal option. As you can see here we have 2 points. This one is for moving the decal and this one is changing the rotation. Same goes for this one. So if we want to duplicate a decal, we are going to choose the decal that we want to duplicate. Then we're going to left click, just simple as that, and we duplicate it. What you can do is you can left click and drag, and the decals will paint alongside. So just so we can see what it looks like from the rider point of view. So it already looks better than the ground we had from the beginning. So let's see what more we can do. these decals works in a layer system, which means that the decal on top of the file is at the bottom in game. As you can see here, if we look at the grass.png, it was on the top of the file. I haven't saved yet, so this one hasn't updated. We can save. Go to Notepad++ again. It has been modified. We want to reload it. As you can see here, the grass.png is at the top of the file, while the dirt ones are all underneath. What we can see here is then it's at the bottom of the decals. The decal at the bottom is the top one in game, as well as the top decal in the file is at the bottom in game. So if we go like this, so basically it is like this. So this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, this is the rotation, and this is the pixel size in game, and this is the aspect ratio. So the first value here is the x-axis, the second one is the y-axis, then we have the rotation, which is this one, then we have the pixel size in game, which means that this decal is going to be 30 pixels of the terrain in game, and the aspect ratio is going to be 1:1. And then we have the path to the decal. So that's how that works. So we can delete this again. Whoops, deleted more than we wanted. And now for some key options of the decals. Spacing is, if we have a decal and then drag, spacing is how far apart they will end up. So if we have 194, you can see that they come really far apart. If we set it to like at least 25, they come really close together. So that's the difference between those. Level over current means that the new decal is always going to be on top of the old one, as you can see here. So this one is on top of this one, which is on top of this one, which is on top of this one, which is on top of this one, etc. And if we set it at bottom, it will always be at the bottom. Remember that the grass was on top of the file, which was the bottom. We can now add this one, and it will add to the bottom. If we set it to the top, it will be on the top of the layer, and if we set it to undercurrent, it will always be under the last one. So that's how the layer system works. And then we can do this hide different, and then you can say we can't really delete or do anything with the grass one, so we only have the dirt one. So which is good if you want to delete multiple decals or something. Orientation flow, you can have flow 2, you can have uphill, I don't really know what that means. Maybe it's always facing up. Or copy is the same rotation. Random just puts it at random. But you probably want to use the flow. Now we get into the interesting part where we can delete and select decals. So delete, it is a status, press X. X, X. And then I'm going to turn on caps lock and look what happens. You can see that a lot of decals disappear at once. Into caps lock you will delete all the decals within the bigger circle. So we can see here the circle goes here around this area. So if we go to decals, turn on caps lock, press X, we can see that these are the decals that disappear. Also what we can do is if we have lowercase m, we can, I'm just going to select this one, we can mark several decals and change them, or paint with multiple decals at once. What we can do is we can also go to uppercase M, so we turn on caps lock, and then press M. So it will once again select all the decals within the bigger circle. So let's go to decals again, and you can see we can move a block of decals at the same time. We can also paint with it. So that's how you can paint really fast. If you have a bunch of decals selected at once, you can just simply choose one and drag and drop, and the marking will disappear. So let's turn off caps lock. Now we can open Notepad++ and see that it has been modified, and I have right now around 2170 decals, which is a lot of decals, and as you can see, most of them overlay each other. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these ones because they just aren't necessary. So I'm going to go with decals, turn on caps lock. I'm going to hide the different ones. Then I'm going to hold X and drag, so most of them gets deleted. So as you can see here, I'm just deleting pretty much all the decals because they just weren't necessary. So let's turn off caps lock. And if you have deleted some decals by accident, you can't press the back key because that just won't work. It doesn't work with decals as statues. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So let's save again. So let's quickly paint the track. I'm going to go ahead and have about 15 the spacing. So I'm going to just drag along side with this. And the more time you spend, the better it will be. Normally I would take quite a lot of time to do this just to make sure it gets nice, but since this is a tutorial, it's more on the point that it gets done rather than nice. So let's see here, covering most of the track. Whoops, not really too nice. I'm not going to paint the whole track, this will do. Just going to do this in the middle. You may want to try and not really have too many unnecessary decals. Just zoom in and take some time. It's really worth it. If I normally would paint for a track I would probably go really slow and make sure everything lines up edge to edge. Pretty good. So this one I would delete, change the correct direction, and then continue. How you can make it more effective is you can have a decal, then place another one. We can just add 4 ones. So let's place these decals in a square formation facing the same direction, like this pretty much. So the decals are now in a square. I will have this one in the middle. Then I'm going to press M for these. And then what I can do is I can paint. I'm going to add a little bit of spacing. But I can paint with 5 decals at once, which could quicken up the process. I prefer to paint with 1 decal at a time. I think it's easiest, but you can really do it this way if you want to. So let's save this, and I'm going to finish painting the rest of the track. So now we have a track with decals. The decal placement is just terrible, but it does the job for now. So for painting the environment in a specific decal, you can pretty much just have this one as bottom and paint the whole track. But that could be pretty time consuming, and especially with a decal that is this small. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these grass ones. So let's see here, we're going to go caps and X and delete a lot of them. So let's see here, I want to have this one at the bottom so I know where the grass is. We're going to save, and we're going to exit the game. Reload this one. Then what we can do is we can change this grass one to 100. That will make it a lot bigger. Save the file. So let's see how a bigger decal looks in game. We can now see that the 100 pixel decal were pretty good, or at least big. So if we go onto the decal, we can now see that The quality of the decal isn't that great, not as if we compare to this one next here, but at least it's supposed to be an environment and it may not have to be the perfect quality, so we will stick with 100 in size. I'm going to save again. What we could do now is I have made a script. It is at mxsim tools.storken.mxs.com, and I'm going to explain the script here. The terrain size is how big the terrain.png is, and we have it at 2049 pixels. The decal size in pixels is supposed to be this value right here. I want to keep it at 100. Random rotation, or should the decal always face the same way? I prefer to have it random. Spacing distance is how far in between it should be each decal. Like here could one be, here could the next be, and should it be 50 feet between the center of both, or how should that be? So the spacing distance is between these points. So I'm going to exit the game here. I want to have the spacing distance at around half of this value, depending on the decal and how much transparency it is at the edges. You may want to change this one, but around half is pretty good. And then decal path from your track folder. So we're going to skip the at, so we're going to type in blank track 2049. We have the folder named decal, and we want to have the grass one, so grass.png, that's going to be our overlay, and click submit. So now we just copy a bit here, go down to the bottom. We can see that we generated 1681 lines. We hold shift, left click, so we select all of this, copy, go to Notepad++, go to the top of the file, make sure the marker is at the very top of the file, and then paste. And as we can see here, we don't have any spaces here, and we don't have any spaces here, so that's good. And we have one line at the bottom, so let's save, open up the game once again, and it looks like a success. And you can see that it's a lot of decals here. So if we go here, you can see that there is a lot of decals, but they just aren't too close to each other, which means that it won't be too heavy to load compared to if we would have like more decals. So let's try the track out and see how it is with the decals. And I can say that it doesn't look great, but it do look better. So that's how you put the decals into the game. And if you want to have normal maps with the decals, you may want to go with a decal that has a normal map, like this one. So the normal map should be named the same as the decal, but then underline t norm.png. So it's pretty much the same name, but for the normal map it's supposed to be same decal name, underline t norm, just like this one. So that's how you put the decals into the game. I hope you could follow along and you could understand the output that we created right here. So it's pretty much just the same output as we have in Notepad++. So we have the where to be right here, we have the rotation, we have the size, we have the aspect ratio, and we have the path to the decal. So I hope you could follow along and learn something, and I'll see you in the next part.